Medicare Supplement sales were up this AEP. And people say, well, that's good. I'm a little balance in the business here. No, that's not what happened. And if you're in the field, you know exactly what happened. A lot of sick people took the opportunity to use their guaranteed issue rights due to a Medicare Advantage plan terminating to get back into the Medicare Supplement marketplace. So if we take a lot of sick people and we put them back in Medicare supplements, is that good? It's good for them individually, perhaps, but what is that going to do with the long-term rates of those blocks of business? And you know, that's not good. I haven't seen the data that says exactly how many people of the 2 million people that lost their Medicare Advantage plan, and of course, people can still do it here, how many of them went to Medicare Supplement. But it's a lot, just the sampling of people that I'm close to, what their agency did. So the Medicare Supplement companies had no choice but to take all that business, and they will have no choice but to continue to raise rates per their loss ratio. Now, the loss ratio has already been bad, historically bad, and the number one driver of that has been the healthy people fleeing, might be an overdramatic term, moving to Medicare Advantage. So as the Medicare Supplement rates go up, and last year, the rates were historically high. I saw one place had a 40% rate increase. I saw commonly 15 to 20% rate increases. So if you have clients on Medicare Supplements and they say, wow, was that a weird outlier year? No, that wasn't. Will their rate increases be double digits this year? Yes, they will. Will they likely be next year? Again, yes, they will. Medicare Supplements are basically dying on the vine because of the way this is established. And if the government didn't want to do this, if the government wanted to prop up Medicare Supplements, government can do it, right? The government owns the chassis. They could come out with new plans. We haven't had a new plan since 2010. They could add dental. They could add vision. They could do a lot of stuff. They're instead sitting on their hands and doing nothing and just letting everybody move into Medicare Advantage. Why does the government want everybody in Medicare Advantage? Because then they can control costs. They know exactly what their costs will be on the Medicare program. Yeah, there's a lot of behind the scenes levers and potential fraud, mismanagement, and all that stuff going on with Medicare Advantage, but they can get their hands on that eventually or get a better grip on that. And then they know exactly how much they have to pay for everybody. So if 60 million people are on it, and then they're giving every insurance company 15 grand, that's it. They're done. They can budget precisely for Medicare for the year. Whereas now, with about half the people on Medicare Supplement, traditional Medicare, they have no idea what their actual costs are going to be. So they're letting Medicare Supplement fizzle out. Now, it's a political animal, so at any time, the winds could change. And we've seen a lot of winds changing in the Medicare market recently. Some of them are pretty good from our standpoint as field agents, and that is the CMS proposed marketing guidelines for next year look reasonable. Looks like a sane person actually listened to some insurance agent feedback and said, yeah, we don't necessarily need all of this. Do they always get approved? So the CMS comes out with proposed rules, then there's a public commentary period, and then they make them final. And generally, whatever comes out as a proposal, generally that's going to be final. So we're looking at a very big change with the Medicare marketing rules. If you don't have the full rules, you want the summary, you can email your marketer, ask me in the comments below. We can tell you what those are. But, getting rid of the 48-hour scope and some other things that will really help us reduce our burden. Now, one of the things that's also changed on the Medicare government side is CMS is allowing you, as of January, to add your NPN, your National Producer Number, to an application that you enroll in Medicare.gov. I'm going to do another video more extensively on that because people feel, and they're incorrect, they feel that this will help agents and give us more leverage against non-comp plans. And it doesn't help at all. It helps the government have more data on us. So So if you want to give them your free data, you get out there and you put your NPN number in. I won't be putting my NPN number in. We are friends with the regulators, right? We're a trifecta, the regulators and the insurance companies and the distribution here. We're all here. But we're at the bottom of the food chain. So if we're not required to give our NPN number, and there is no benefit to giving our NPN number, I'll just sit quietly on the sidelines for that. Why would they want you to put your NPN number in there? They want to be able to tie those enrollments to you. They want to be able to see patterns. They want to be able to see if there's a complaint and see who did it. Sylvia Gordon did this app. Right now, if there's a complaint, they don't license agents. So CMS doesn't have control over agents. They have control over the carriers. So if they get a complaint and the complaint goes to Aetna, then Aetna is responsible for getting with the agent, auditing the process, doing all that with me, the agent, which I give back to Aetna, which they give back to CMS. So if they know exactly who I am, they can see, oh, Sylvia Gordon is constantly doing something wrong on Medicare.gov, putting people on plans that their provider's not in. Which brings me to another fun topic, and that is the new provider directory, which I think they'll get it right eventually, but you know how the government works. It's going to take a while. And this year, a lot of people right out of the gate said, what? It's not accurate. So then CMS had to make a special SEP if you enrolled on Medicare.gov based on the faulty information in the provider network. So right away, they gave everybody an out saying, hey, we didn't do a good job in this provider directory. So will the fact that the provider directory is available to your clients, will that eventually make you obsolete? And yeah, it's kind of another step in the direction of self-serve, where Medicare can go directly to the beneficiary and they don't need agent intervention. And clearly that's the carrier's goal and Medicare's goal, because we're considered like cowboys. Like they don't know what we're doing out here and they don't really understand us at all. And I think they don't think highly of the service that we provide. And this is through several administrations, having done this for 30 years. I've never felt that there's any respect for the service that we provide, and that there is a hearty interest in removing us from the process. So don't freak out and be like, oh my God, I'm going to lose my job. That's not going to happen. The government works very slowly, mercifully slowly. So having access to the provider directory, yeah, it could make it easier for them not to use you, but you're free. So just remember that. You need to be marketing your services because your clients don't know that. Your clients don't know that when you help them, you give them their information, and then they go later and enroll themselves on Medicare.gov that you don't get paid. They assume you get paid. They just assume because you already talked to them and you'd already done the research, you'd already narrowed it down, and you said, Humana's going to be the best plan, and call me back and I'll get you enrolled. So they just did it on their own. But we've all had that. And no, we don't get paid. And it's our fault for not explaining that to the client. A lot of agents don't like to talk about money. It's vulgar to talk about commission, non-commission, cut commission. You tell me another industry that works for free. I'm not walking into some store and saying, I want these shoes for free. Not happening. Don't be embarrassed to talk about your job, how you get paid, why you get paid, when you get paid, when you don't get paid. And that's more important now that agents are seeing more and more, especially when you're a Med Supp client, seeing them all do the Part D on their own, because most agents are not doing Part D. We're not getting paid. We're not doing it. So they're showing everybody how to go to Medicare.gov to do their own drug plan. Well, now that they're on Medicare.gov, they're saying, oh, I can go shop a lot of stuff here, and I don't need an agent anymore. You got to explain to them there's so much more to the process than what meets the eye. Now, again, that's marketing. A lot of people don't do a good job marketing. This industry, the Medicare industry, over the past 20 years has become very lazy. We still have thousands of people turning 65 every day. So there's a huge demand in our favor, but we've become lazy in talking to people about all their options, explaining how everything works, not just how we're paid, but how the rate increases will work, how the changes. Do you expect your plan to terminate again? What the forecast is. We're just like, next, I'm really busy. Then I want to take a couple months off. I know who I'm talking to. I'm talking to a field agent, right? A field agent's like, I work really, really, really hard, and I worked 12 hours a day, and I didn't have time to talk about everything that I'd really like to talk about. That's fair. On the same thing. I got people book back to back. But you have the rest of the year to communicate with your clients, to have a newsletter, to have, I don't know what you do, to have meetings, to get your message out. Maybe it's via your website. Maybe you have a text service, but to talk to your clients about what to expect, because there's going to be a lot of changes again. This year was not an outlier. Medicare supplements will have huge rate increases this year. Part D, you know what's going on with Part D. The formularies are always moving around, and we're not really sure where we stand with Trump RX, right? Which is the most popular drug. The most popular question that we have is what's going on with the weight loss drugs. So your clients all have consistently a lot of questions floating around in their head. You need to be marketing to them and talking to them about it. Now, if it's not Medicare Advantage, it's not Part D, you don't need approval. It's not a communication per CMS. Just go at it, right? If it is, make sure it's not carrier specific. Make sure you get approval if you're sending out a Medicare communication concerning the federal products, Medicare Advantage or Part D. If you're not sure exactly what you can and can't do yet, ask your marketer for more details. So have a happy new year. It's going to be exciting. It already is exciting. If you're new here and you don't follow us, please follow our channel. Rebecca couldn't be here today. She's a chiropractor, but we'd appreciate it if you would give us a follow. We're the oldest and the biggest insurance, specifically Medicare insurance channel on YouTube. Thanks for watching.